Hey there, I'm here with Mystele Kirkeeng, and we're painting on top of cardboard, sort of an unusual material, don't you think?
It is.
And we're gonna be making this awesome sort of folk art house that you have here, and I think of this very much as in the Mystele style.
Well, I think that you would say that because I'm painting in a way that is authentic to me.
Yeah, exactly. So show us how we can also be authentic to ourselves.
Okay, well, a lot of it starts with the materials that you gather. We're all going to gather different things because we're drawn to different things. Okay, so what I've done is just gathered things that, like I said, are interesting to me, and some special things too. I've got kids' homework and tissue paper from a gift that I was given, and lace from a fun antique store.
And I was going to say, I've got a pile of what I'm going to call beautiful junk here. And it's not necessarily personal to me, you know what I mean? I've got some yarn, maybe some leftovers from a project, a little bit of lace. I do think this eyelet lace is beautiful. I've got magazine pages, just pretty images, you know, out of a magazine, obviously fabric of all kinds. And of course, these could be personal things, and I think that takes it elevates it even more.
Yes.
But if you didn't have that stuff for some reason, like you're not a hoarder like we are, if I may say that.
Right.
Then, of course, you could use sort of anything you had around.
Yes, junk mail, newspaper clippings, any of that. It's folk art and mixed media really lend themselves to using what you have on hand. It makes it so much more of a dynamic process as well.
So what are we doing next?
Okay, what you want to do once you get all your pieces down, you want to unify them so it's not so visually noisy. And what you're going to do is just take gesso, which is like a primer, for paintings.
So you wouldn't want to use white paint for this. You actually have to use gesso specifically.
You don't have to use gesso, but gesso is not as opaque as your typical white paint. So you'll still be able to see through to some of the pattern that you have underneath.
Because of course the question is, why would you bother having glued all that stuff down if you weren't going to see any of it? And the answer is you do want to see some of it.
Right, right.
And I see you're just scraping with like a hotel room key or an old credit card.
Yep, foam brushes, especially when you get over your fabric.
Right? How are you going to get over that lace? I love how you hold the brush, because I would hold it like a pencil, and again, you're sort of sideways action.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're
stay
gonna
loose.
Scrape over it in several layers, I assume. Is that correct?
Yes, especially over pieces like this, it's going to need more paint to cover up the cardboard back there. But then again, it doesn't even have to all be covered.
Okay, so you're going to coat all of that.
Yep, and then you would end up with something like this.
And I love how you can see pieces of the paper. Again, homework. I see somebody got 18 out of 20, not too shabby on their homework there. And now, what are we doing?
Okay, I am going to, because I love houses. Houses tell such often beautiful stories. And I'm a mom, and so home is a big part of my life, raising these boys. So, homes often find a place in my work. So I'm just sketching out.
You know, I think a home is one of the first things that a lot of kids draw too, because it's those easily recognizable shapes.
Yes.
It's the big square for the house, the triangle for the roof, you know, all those kinds of things. Now, you're not actually drawing a real house, or are you?
Nope. I think what we do is we all have like this history of images that we're not always aware of. And when you start creating, you dive into that kind of collection of images that you have in your head. And so I'm just going from that. And probably a lot of it started in childhood, the stuff that I drew.
I love that idea that we all have this history, like this bank of images that we can access anytime and use. I mean, that's just exciting.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're just drawing, I mean, it would be nice if your house had blue curtains on the inside. And I always think a house with a red door is a little bit intriguing and interesting.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do now, because I'm using water-soluble crayons, I'm actually going to lay out some gel medium.
So even though it looks white,
it will dry clear.
Okay.
Yeah. I want to fix this because I'm going to add paint to
when
this.
When fix it, you don't mean it's broken and you need to fix it.
Right.
What do you mean by that?
Seal it so that water-based media don't reactivate the crayon.
Okay.
Okay. So the reason I'm doing this is because I'm going to add paint and scratch back through to have some of this pretty color pop.
And you want these parts to stay, so that's why you had to fix it.
Yeah. So here is one that is obviously already ready to go. And what I'm gonna do is take white. White is, a very neutral color. And I'm just going to pull it.
You're covering
over.
up everything you just did.
I am.
You're freaking me out.
It'll be fine, I promise.
I just have to trust. So now this is acrylic paint, which dries kind of quick. So you must have to be working super fast on this.
Well, the thing about acrylic paint is, yes, it does dry quickly, but it doesn't dry as quickly as you might think. You still have a good amount of working time with it.
So you've covered it up.
So I've covered
making me nervous.
Yeah, I'm gonna do one little scrape here. I like to distress it to get some, like an aged feel.
Okay, I can see some of the color coming back now that you're scraping.
Yep, and then what I'm gonna do here is what's called sgraffito. And it's basically just scratching into wet paint. And you can start to see that crayon.
Using one of my favorite tools, which you can buy at the grocery store.
Yes, a skewer.
Yeah, I think bamboo skewers are an underutilized and awesome art tool.
Yeah.
So you're just scratching it now. Is there any rules or rhyme or reason? Are you outlining? Are you?
I am adding detail with the skewer, but no, there's not really any rules. It just is based on what you like.
And now, would you do this just once for one layer, or
I would
keep
keep going.
Okay,
add more
and I can
layers.
see you've put in the window sashing there to add that detail in, and the doorknob. That's so cute. And if we look back at the finished sample, we can see how you've done all of that. Now the color on there is obviously blue, so it looks like you put a blue on instead of a white.
Yes.
But same idea. So very, very versatile.